Yo, welcome back YouTube, what's going on? So this video, if you couldn't already tell, is dedicated to the perk NOED, No One Escapes Death. So NOED is a perk that has been around since the game's release, and it's been one of the most controversial perks in the game since around those times. It's gone through a lot of changes, but it's always generally done the same thing, which basically is, in the end game, it gives you one-shot downs with your basic attacks, and also gives you a speed boost. It used to do a little bit more, and it also used to last longer, and there was like different ways that it activated and stuff. Right now, nowadays, and also for the past, maybe few years or so, it basically attaches itself to a hex, is how it works. Like, basically, the way this perk works is, if there is a doll totem at all when the final gen is popped, this perk will attach itself to that doll totem or any random doll totem as long as there's at least one. And then as long as that totem's up, that will now be your NOED totem. And as long as that totem remains up, you will have one-shot downs on your basic attacks. And also you get like a 4% speed boost, which is a really, really big buff. Like, it might not seem like 4% speed is much, but that's basically like permanent Bloodlust 1, which is a big deal. On top of the fact that one-shot downs, right? Like, that's like those are pretty much two of the biggest buffs you can get as killer, and it's just like up the whole time until you can get rid of the perk. So the effect this gives you is a big deal. Like, it's pretty strong. Okay, so to explain my thoughts on this, I think that this perk is problematic, is what I would say. I think it's problematic in a way. I wouldn't say that it's overpowered. I wouldn't say that it's underpowered either. I would say it's just problematic in the way that it works, and I'll kind of get into the reasons why. Now, before I get into more details about this, let me just quickly like explain my thoughts, because I know someone might start, people are going to start angrily typing in my comments. I just want to go ahead and say that I'm not the type of person that will ever talk down on somebody for running this perk. I know that's a big thing in this game, unfortunately. There's a lot of people that will talk down on you for running certain perks, and I know NOED is one of those perks, especially where like Survivor players always like shit talk people that run NOED and say that only bad killers run NOED and blah for fucking blah blah blah. I think it's stupid. I think that entire ideology of telling people what to run in this game is stupid. And I also want to say that I am a killer main myself, so this is not coming from like a Survivor main perspective. And also, I think plenty of Survivor perks are problematic too. I'm just kind of focusing on NOED for this video, and I can make separate videos for other perks if you guys want, but I want this to be just focused on NOED, so please don't hit me with like the, well, what about Dead Hard and what about boons and all that stuff, because I can make a whole different videos on those if you guys want. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Let me talk about NOED. So the problem that I think NOED has is I think that NOED is an interesting perk, right? It gives you a huge power spike in the end game, a huge significant power spike right in the end game. But I think the major frustration that comes from this perk is it comes from two things, okay? I think the first major frustration that this perk has always had is the fact that in order to get the boost, you don't really have to do or earn anything, right? Like, from the killer side, you don't actually have to like perform well or really do anything in the match. You just have to basically like quote unquote lose in a way, right? Like, you have to lose all your objectives, and then once you lose all your objectives, you just get hit with like the most powerful boost in all of DBD, essentially. So it's kind of like, I think a big situation that people run into with this perk is they'll go against a killer who doesn't play very well, and then in the end game they'll get NOED, and then they'll like, I don't know, maybe like face camp someone to death, or or they'll like down multiple people when they don't expect it, and then take advantage and end up getting a couple kills that they don't deserve, and it's very frustrating, right? If you're one of those people that gets down by it and then you get face camped, it's very frustrating to feel like a killer like did nothing all game and doesn't really deserve to like kill you at all, and maybe you outplayed them all game, and then at the very end they just like hit you with this crazy perk, and then you die because they like face camp you, and your teammates can't find it, and you're like, damn, So that's like the one major frustration, and the one major issue that I have with it is that, right? The fact that you don't have to earn it. It's just given for free. It's one of the strongest buffs in the game, and it's given for free. And the second issue I have with it myself is the fact that the like quote unquote counterplay to the perk is, in my opinion, completely nonsensical. The main argument you hear for this is to just cleanse all 5 totems, right? Because that's kind of the idea. Like I explained earlier, that NOED gets put onto a doll totem. And again, I'm sure many of you know this, but if you get rid of every single totem on the map, when the final gen pops, NOED won't activate because there won't be a totem for it to attach itself to. If there's no doll totems left at the end of a game, NOED just never activates and it never comes into play. However, I think that entire ideology of just cleanse all 5 totems if you don't want to deal with NOED is the most absurd thing ever, and let me explain why. So cleansing doll totems outside of having the perk Inner Strength, I think it's called Inner Healing now, outside of having Inner Healing, cleansing a doll totem doesn't really do anything for you as far as like actually helping you escape the trial, right? It gives you some blood points, but I'm talking like as far as helping you and your teammates actually win the game and escape the trial, it does not help you at all. As a matter of fact, I would say it's a big waste of time, if anything, right? Like, the amount of time it takes for you to find a totem and cleanse it is time that you could have potentially been spending doing a generator and actually doing the objectives and trying to like actually help your team get out. Not to mention the fact that boon totems now exist, which means that your teammates might not want the totems to be destroyed, or maybe you don't want the totems to be destroyed. I mean, I guess you could just say that if you're running boons, then I guess deal with it. But like, if you're like a solo queue survivor and your teammates have boons, then you trying to like break all the totems would also possibly be screwing over your teammates, which is definitely not ideal. Even if we completely disregard boons, though, the whole point is that cleansing doll totems is not actually good, right? Like, again, if you like, okay, let's just pretend the killer does not have NOED and you go around and you cleanse all 5 doll totems. That takes a very long time. Again, especially if we're talking like solo queue or something. Like, there's no totem counter to tell you how many you've broken. You literally have to go around and find every totem, or at least find the broken totems, right? Like, even if your teammates do totems, you have to find the broken totem bodies to know where they are. And also, you got to break all 5, right? It's not like you can just casually do totems while you do gens, because that's another argument I hear too. It's like, oh, well, if you just cleanse any doll totems you see, then you're fine. But you're really not, right? Like, if you cleanse 3 totems and that's it, and then you do all the gens, then NOED still activates, and you just wasted time cleansing those 3 totems for no reason. Like, it's really only worth the time investment if you do all 5. And even then, if you do all 5, there's a chance that the killer just might not even have NOED. And that's the big issue, right? There's no way of knowing if the killer has it. So basically, what this argument is asking you to do is it's asking you to do this just like really ridiculous arbitrary task that doesn't actually help you in any way, just on the off chance that a killer does have this like really strong perk, but there's no way for you to know. To give a comparison of how ridiculous this is, this would be like the equivalent of, I'm just going to make something off the top of my head. Say, like, hypothetically, there was a survivor perk where if once all 5 gens were done, all 4 survivors got a 10% speed boost, and they were just like hard as shit to catch because they were fast as fuck, you know? And it was just like permanent until the game ended, and you couldn't get rid of it. It was just there. It was like hope on steroids, but it was just there forever. And maybe like all their healing speeds were like, you know, quadrupled or something. I don't know, just something crazy, right? Say they just had this crazy buff that they got after all 5 gens were done. But as a killer, if you want to prevent it, you can go down to the basement at some point during the match and open all 4 gens 2 times each, right? At some point, go down to the basement and open all lockers 2 times each, right? Just take a bunch of time, basically just waste a bunch of time instead of doing the objective that you should be doing, and do just some random nonsense that basically makes no sense on the off chance that the survivors might have a perk. That's essentially what people are asking survivors to do when people say, just do bones. It's a horrible, horrible argument. It doesn't make any sense logically. It's so stupid. It's just a pure waste of time. Now, obviously, this second part, like the second issue I have with the perk, could be solved pretty easily through things like, I don't know, maybe a totem counter, or maybe like some kind of way where like the survivors know that you have NOED at, you know, at the beginning of the trial, or maybe if they tap a doll totem, it tells them if you have NOED or something. But even that might be like too much of a nerf, right? It's kind of hard. So I have an idea. I have an idea of what I would like NOED to do instead. And in my opinion, it fixes both of these issues. And in my opinion, it would make it a great perk. And I think you could actually make it a perk that helps the overall health of the game to be more fun. So I'm going to pitch that to you guys, and I'm curious to know your thoughts. Okay, so here it is, all right? You completely ditch the entire hex part of the perk. It's no longer hex, no one escapes death. It's just no one escapes death. It's just NOED. Instead, make it a perk that has stacks, similar to, I don't know, perks like Devour Hope or perks like Huntress Lullaby. And similar to Lullaby, I would make it so that the stacks work on hooks, right? Or not even hooks, I would say hook stages. Every hook stage you get on a survivor gives you 1 stack of NOED. And stacks are only acquirable before the final gen pops, right? Like, once the final gen pops, you can't get any more stacks. So any hook states that you get before the last gen pops gives you a stack. However, I think killing a survivor should make you lose 2 stacks. So with that being in mind, if you actually kill a survivor completely, right, it would be 3 hook states but a death. So you would gain 3 and lose 2, so you would still get a +1 overall stack, right? You would still have like a +1 net stack, but at the same time, the perk also gets more value if the person has been hooked twice but not killed. And then make it so once you get to the end, right? Like, once you get to the end game and the final gen is popped, make it so that you get a stackable bonus per stack. Now the numbers here can vary, but you can do like the exact same thing we have now, right? A speed boost and one shot downs could be totally fine. Like something like I don't really know what number would work best. I'd have to sit there and think about the math a lot. Like I'm pretty sure the most amount of stacks you could ever have at one time would be 8, right? If there's 4 survivors that are all been hooked twice and not dead, you would have 8 stacks. So I think the most you could ever have at one time would be 8. So you can make the number like something, I don't know, you can make it like 0.5%, 0.6% movement speed. Like something where like max stacks gives you a pretty nice boost. But you know, like a small to medium amount of stacks still gives like something. You know what I mean? So like give it like a percent movement speed per stack, and then also make it so that you get one shot downs, but every single time you one shot down a survivor or hit a survivor, you lose a stack. I'm a little unsure if I should keep this at 1 stack or maybe do something else with it. I just want it to make sure that it doesn't last forever, right? I don't think the one shot down should last forever. I think they should slowly fade away. I think maybe only losing 1 stack per hit might be a little too strong, because I feel like no matter what, as long as you get some hooks in the match, you're guaranteed to have like good NOED value. So maybe like 1 stack per down is too little. Maybe it could be more. I don't know. This is kind of the only flaw I see, is exactly what to do, because I feel like if you lose 2 stacks per hit, that might be too much, but 1 stack per hit seems like it's maybe not enough. So this is maybe the only thing that I'm unsure about, whereas the rest of the concept I'm super confident and happy with. So essentially what this would do is it would make NOED more consistent, because it wouldn't be able to be broken, right? You would never have a situation where you get to the end game and the final gen pops, and then the survivors either have already broken all 5 totems, or they just like happen to find your NOED totem super quickly and break it, right? So you would always get value out of your NOED as killer, but as survivor, you would also, like, the amount of value the killer gets depends on how well you do, right? It depends on how much they like do to you during the actual trial. On top of that, it would also reward killers for playing in a way that is like seen as more like quote unquote fun and fair, right? I know a big problem that a lot of people have with the game is how effective and efficient it is to do things like tunneling and camping. I know it's a very, very big debated topic in a lot of areas where people talk about how strong tunneling and camping is, but also how anti-fun it is. Whereas this would kind of reward you for not doing that, right? And also, I think it just kind of fits the whole theme of the perk, right? The entire idea of the perk is that no one escapes death. But I feel like if you're going to say that you're not escaping death, I feel like to me that implies that you were in danger of dying to begin with. In my opinion, if a killer gets 0 hooks, if they get 0 hooks throughout the whole match, and then all the gens pop, in my opinion, the survivors were never close to death to begin with. Like they were chilling, dude. They were big chilling. So what the hell are they escaping? Nothing. Like they're fine, right? But if survivors have been hooked 6, 7, 8 times throughout the match and no one's died yet, that means everybody is super close to death. Like they are hella close to dying, and that makes sense, right? You can't fucking escape it. Here's NOED. You can't escape the death that you're really close to having, so here's NOED to make sure that you can close out the game, right? That would kind of be the idea behind it. It would help killers close out the game that have gotten tons of hooks, but just haven't quite got enough yet. Because I will say that's probably one of the worst feelings, right? It sucks to have a game where you got tons of hooks, you feel like you did really well, but then you end up like not being able to kill anybody because they just get the gens done. Maybe they have like adrenaline or something, and then you're just like, well, shit, now what, you know? So it would kind of help killers close out games that play in a way that's more like fun and fair, but also good. And it would also, I think, feel a lot more fair from the survivor point of view if it only activated when the killer actually plays well, and also if it was only for a limited amount of time, right? If you can like use the stacks up. So if you got like 6 or 7 stacks, that would still be 6 or 7 one-shot downs. Like you're most likely gonna like not use all of those, but on the off chance that the survivors can make some crazy plays, maybe they will, right? I think it would lead to like a little bit of a more interesting back and forth in the end game with NOED, and I think it would also make it feel a lot more fair from both sides. I think both sides would feel more fair. So this would get rid of the entire hex problem of, you know, just do bones. Like that would be completely gone because it would just be there no matter what. And also, I think it would get rid of the problem. It would get rid of both issues, right? Both issues. I also feel like it would feel earned, so it would just be overall good. And I think, to me, that sounds like the best option. Obviously, you can tweak it around a little bit, right? If you want to like change the values that the stacks give you, or if you want to like change how you get stacks or lose stacks, I think there's a lot of tweaks you can make to the general concept. But as a general concept, I think I like the idea of it being a non-hex totem that stacks up and then also maybe fades away in the end game, and you have to earn it by playing in a way that's fun and fair and stuff. I like that entire concept, but I mean, feel free to suggest anything if you guys have any ideas on ways you can tweak my idea to make it even better, because I'm sure somebody out there probably is a lot smarter than me and can probably think of something a lot better, or maybe like think of like a way to tweak it to make it better. I actually do like having a perk like NOED that can kind of help you close out the game in the late game. So I would really hate to see it changed in any other way other than something like this. This feels like a way to just make it reliable and still good, but just, you know, more fun overall. I think that's all I got. I feel like I'm already kind of doing the thing where I'm starting to go in circles, so I think I'm just going to end the video here. But let me not, please let me know your thoughts. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this. I would love to hear some feedback, maybe some ideas. Maybe there's some holes in this that I'm not seeing. Like, to me, it just sounds like a great idea, but maybe there's some holes that I'm not seeing that somebody else can think of. And also, like, for the love of God, Survivor main, stop giving killers so much shit for running NOED, dude. Stop it. Stop it, man. Like, I kind of get the ideology of where, like, the whole, like, bad killer equals NOED comes from, because I feel like generally newer killers run NOED often, but that's only because all the fucking non-teachable perks suck ass, right? If you're a newer killer player playing this game, why the fuck would you not run NOED? What other options do you have? Fucking Bitter Murmur? Spies from the Shadows? Of course you're gonna run NOED. That perk's, like, so good compared to all the other non-teachables. I know that shit's annoying, man, but, like, goddamn, bruv. Goddamn. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just kind of ranting now. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave me your thoughts. Like the video if you guys liked it. Feel free to subscribe as well if you guys want, because I'm going to be uploading even more. And also stop by my live stream. I'm live on Twitch 6 nights a week where I have discussions like this all the goddamn time with chat. So you guys can maybe even have a back and forth with me. If you like talking about this kind of thing, literally come by my live stream and ask me in my chat. I talk to my chat all night during my live streams. So feel free to come by and say hi, ask me questions about things. We can have a back and forth about any ideas you might have. And even if we disagree on things, we can discuss it civilly. I'm totally open to it. Anyway, that's all. This is like the longest outro ever. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me your thoughts. I love you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your night. Until next time, I'm out of here. See ya. Take care. See ya. See you later. See ya.